best piece of advice be, knowing what you know now?
When people try their first funnel, a lot of times they're coming from a point of fear, right? Like I just lost my job, or I'm trying, whatever. Or it's like, this is my baby. Like it has to be successful. And because of that, they're so scared that like, if it fails, it means that they're a failure.
Yeah.
My first project was a potato gun DVD, and it was dumb. And I was like, I remember thinking, I'm like, this is just my test. Like I want to just test these principles in a way that I'm not tied to the outcome. If it fails, nobody's going to like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like it disassociated like failure from me, which I think most people, that's why they don't want to become failures. So they don't want to fail. So they get in this like this state of like consistent learning where they just struggle because of it.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to this episode. Today we have a special episode as I'm interviewing 9-figure entrepreneur Russell Brunson, aka the godfather of Clickfunnels. And although you guys might know him for .com secrets, expert secrets, and his brand new one, traffic secrets, today we're going to get to pick Russell's mind about exactly what it takes to fill your funnels and your websites online to get your dream customers in any niche, no matter where in the world you are, especially at a time like this during quarantine. So thank you so much for being on the show today, Russell, to talk about this brand new Traffic Secrets book.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. And I think this is the best time to talk about traffic. Everyone's freaking out in the whole world. And it's like one of the skill sets that'll protect people during this time of uncertainty and kind of craziness. So I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Exactly, man. Thank you so much for hopping on. I know you're a busy man. So first question when we get into it, a lot of people, especially nowadays, are learning about getting into online entrepreneurship, selling their products and services, taking it digital. And I think because of what's going on, with COVID-19 and the quarantine, it's even accelerating even further. But people go, okay, Russell, it's one thing to learn how to become an expert, package my products and services, take them online. But what good is it if I don't have customers? So can you talk to me a little bit about, why Traffic Secrets was something that you wanted to write and where you really feel like it serves people the most, especially right now, to learn about this stuff as the final missing piece?
Definitely. And I feel like it is the missing piece. It's funny because like when I got started in my business, there's so many things when you first get started. It's like, I got to figure out how to create a product. And it's like, you have a product, like, how am I going to sell it? So you make like a funnel, and then you write copy. And then like, now there's nobody coming. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have the mindset. It's kind of like the movie Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner. It's like, if you build it, they will come. And I remember like my first time I created a product, I totally thought that. I remember getting it done. It was amazing. I got the sales letter, like everything was done. And then I was like, I don't know what to do now. Like there's nobody coming. And it was before, for me, like when I got started, it was before Facebook, it was before Google, all these things. Like I got started like 16, 17 years ago. And it's interesting because back then it was harder. Like we had to figure out like creative ways to get traffic. Whereas anybody who's been online for the last, 6 or 7 years, they know how to drive Facebook ads. Like that's one thing people can do. Some people know YouTube, there's a couple of basic things, but for most people, when I ask them, I'm like, what, like, how do you get traffic? And they tell me like one thing. I'm like, what happens if that disappeared? And I was like, I'd be in trouble. I'm like, I know, it's a scary thing. And so this book, like when you guys have a chance to read, let me pull it out of here. When you guys have a chance to read Traffic Secrets, like it's not about like one type of traffic. It's like helping you like think about traffic differently. Like when I was writing this, I was trying to go back in time. Like how did I learn traffic initially? It wasn't from buying a Facebook's ads course. In fact, when I first was learning this, I remember there weren't as many, 15 years ago, it was different. There weren't like tons of people teaching marketing and traffic and stuff. It was, and so I remember I joined a mastermind group of some business guys. It was like Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer in these groups. And I remember joining, and I was the only internet guy in the group. And I remember they used to always tease me because they're like, Russell, this is a letter. These get sent in the mail. Have you ever seen these before? I'm like, oh,
you talk about it in the book. Yeah.
Yeah, they totally mock me. And I remember something that Dan Kennedy said to me that was so powerful. He said, the problem with you internet guys is you think the internet marketing is a business. And it's like, because of that, you think there's some magic sauce that's different than everything else. He's like, you have to understand that the internet is a media channel, just like direct mail or TV or radio or newspapers. It's like when you understand that, you understand that the rules that worked in direct mail or TV or radio, they also apply to the internet. And so that's like how I learned traffic initially. And so it's funny, most people don't know this, but the first 10 years of my business, I never bought a single ad. We got traffic from a whole bunch of different freeways. And then even when we launched Clickfunnels, we didn't run Facebook ads to Clickfunnels for over a year because I didn't know how to run Facebook ads. Yet we were still growing really, really rapidly. And so the thing in this book, like I think my major goal is for people to start thinking about traffic differently, because when you do, it opens up so many different ways to get traffic, as opposed to I run Facebook ads, and if that gets shut down, which, as you know, tons of people's ads accounts are getting shut down like crazy right now.
Exactly.
It's a scary way. It's a scary way to run a business. They always say one is the scariest number in business, and so it helps you to understand traffic at a different, like more strategic level.
I love that, man. And then also, I love that in the book you talk about organic traffic, paid traffic. It's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and it's the principles that apply regardless of the mediums changing. But talk to me a little about a keyword in there that I love, and you use dream customers, right? Because we all know it's one thing to get traffic of any customer, right? But it's an entirely different experience in business when you're working with your dream customers. And in this book, you talk about that. So can you talk about the importance of not just trying to get sales, but actually really being intentional about it and what it means to actually have a dream customer? And in the book, you talk about, who is identifying your dream customer and then finding out where they congregate and then tapping into where they already exist, kind of like you in wrestling and then the wrestling forums online initially. So can you talk about what it means to have a dream customer and why that's so important to grow a business that you love?
In fact, it's funny. People, I don't know. At least I didn't start this way. Like I started with I had an idea for a product. I created it and I tried to sell it. And I was like, just pitching it like crazy. And I remember I was probably 4 or 5 years into my business. And I remember waking up one morning and laying in bed. And I was so miserable. Like I thought I lived the dream. I was an entrepreneur. Like all the things I always wanted were happening, but I was miserable. I'm like, why am I so miserable? I remember thinking, like, I wish I had a boss. This boss would fire me because I don't want to have to go in today. And I started thinking about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I'm not excited about my customers. Like, I just started selling stuff and people came to me and I wasn't like, I hated looking at emails, I hated reading the posts. Like everything came, I was just like, ugh. And I remember about that time, I had a window to kind of like my business, I had time to start kind of failing and I had this transition point to shift things. And I started thinking like, if I was to design this over from the ground up, like who would my dream like who would it actually be? And I started like thinking a lot about that and writing out lists of like my dream customers, they wouldn't do these things. Like these are the things I hate about my customers, but my dream ones do this and this and this. And I started listing it. And the more I would write out stuff about what they look like, the more clear they got in my head. So that was the first step. And then I was like, okay, now I know exactly who I want to serve. Then I'm like, now that I know who that is, like where would I actually find these people? It wasn't me creating product and trying to sell. It was me figuring out who's my customer and then where are they at? And so I started looking like, okay, where are they hanging out? And that's, I think the most powerful thing about the internet is that all of us, we group together based on like the stuff that we're passionate about, right? So like all the health and fitness people are hanging out on these blogs and they're listening to these podcasts and they're in these Facebook groups. All people interested in business are over here. All people in gardening, or like everyone groups together based on what they're excited by. Yeah. And so if you have a deep understanding of who it is you want to serve, then it becomes easy to go find where they're actually at. And then you can like you can literally make it in a way where you get your dream customers in. It kind of repels the ones that you don't want. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I made that transition, that change, man, it changed everything for me. Like all of a sudden, like the people who were coming in were the people I actually wanted, the people that had money, people who were willing to spend, people who weren't trying to get rich quick, but people who actually wanted to build a company. And it shifted everything. And I think mistakenly, most people, when they start talking about traffic, they start talking about all sorts of weird, tech keywords and targeting. And it's like, no, traffic is just people. Yeah. It's us. Like how, like there's human beings. Like how do we, and if you start looking at it that way through that lens, and it's like, okay, who are they at? Who are they? And where are they congregating? And when you ask that question, where are these people congregating? Now it opens up this whole world of traffic possibilities. It's not just Facebook ads or Google, or it's like, well, they're on this blog, or they're listening to these podcasts. In fact, I did this demonstration. I had this guy the other day who messaged me, and he was like, well, Russell, I don't have $1 million a month to spend on Facebook ads. I can't grow a company. So I called him. I was like, hey, get out your phone. And I was like, open up the podcasting app. And I was like, if you scroll down, you can go to, it says top shows, click on top shows, and then click on see all. And there's a button here. It says categories. Click on all categories. It has all the podcasts based on categories. So you got sports, comedy, arts, business, fiction, government, health and fitness, kids and family, like all sorts of stuff. Right. So then I'm like, okay, now what's your topic? And they have like a kids, family products. I'm like, hey, click on kids and family. And I'm like, when you click on that, I just lost it. Sorry. I was like, you click on that. Here's 200 different podcasts of people who are specifically speaking to kids and family. I was like, there's 200 shows that you could be on. And I was like, just go through the list, go to the first person, second person, third person. And like, these people have already congregated your dream customers together. Just go get on their show, or you can buy an ad on their show. And instantly you're like right in front of your dream customers right there. And I was like, you could build a multi-million-dollar business without ever using a Facebook ad, just using the free podcast directory right here inside of iTunes. And I think that like when you start thinking about traffic differently, it opens up so many possibilities as opposed to like, I've got one thing. It's like, no, there's so many ways to get traffic. And what's nice is that people aren't competing like crazy over here like they are on Facebook or on Google. It's like
Exactly.
other spots no one's thinking about it. So you can get stuff at such a lower discount, such a lower cost than anywhere else.
I love that. Yeah. And then also in the book, you talk about something that I love. You talk about the importance of not just having traffic and having people, but owning your traffic, right? You talk about the most important part of traffic being traffic that you own. And that's the beauty of, when I built the show, The Passionate Few, obviously you can see in the background, I had no idea. I just wanted to do something that I loved. But we started, meeting all these people who loved the show. And then we started collecting emails and learning from them and surveys and quizzes. And we started learning. And we're like, holy cow, like we don't just rent an audience like, maybe when you're doing ads, right? As soon as the ad spend dies, well, that's it. Any of the leads you collected, it's great. Otherwise, it's done. So you can create free content, free value for people, kind of like what you do with the Marketing Secrets podcast or other things with social media now. Literally, the point of entry is free. You can literally own an audience that you can then offer products and services to. So can you talk about the difference between renting an audience, so to speak, and owning an audience, and just how important it is to own your audience via, messenger lists, email lists, things like that going into the future?
Yeah. Man, it is like the key. I've seen in the years I've been doing this, I've seen so many people who built huge companies where like they're buying ads like crazy, they're making money. And then like, for whatever reason, Google slaps them or they shut it down or the algorithm changes and like their business overnight is just gone, like dust. It just disappears. And most people I know don't recover from that. And I was lucky enough when I got started, my very first mentor was a guy named Mark Joyner. And Mark, I remember he told me, he's like, only thing you should focus on is building your own list. At the time, all we had was email lists. But like you said, there's a lot of different lists we can use nowadays. And he's like, focus on that. He's like, your list is your audience, and you can sell to them over and over and over again. And I remember at that time, for those who've been doing this game for a long time, there was this window for like 2 years where Google AdSense was so simple, and you could if you threw up a fake blog and threw some ads on it, you made tons of money. And I had friends making $100,000 a month just like by throwing garbage on the internet. And I was like just learning. I was like, I want to do that. And Mark was like, no, he's like, that's going to disappear. That's fake. It's not real. Like yes, it's working right now, but it's going to disappear. Like focus on the fundamentals, like build a list. And I remember being all angry, like, oh, fine. Focus on building this list. Yeah. And sure enough, this thing disappeared and all those business owners lost their business, right? We're seeing this right now with the whole coronavirus and everything. Like so many businesses are disappearing because they don't own their own audience. They don't own their own traffic. And for me, like over the next few years, like I grew my business and then I went through I had some business issues and we almost went through bankruptcy, but I had my own list. And so I could email my list and we figured out other things to sell and other things. And we weathered that storm. And then a few years later, we had the big recession hit where I had to lay off like 80 employees in a day. I lost like all this whole thing shut down, but I had this list and I was able to to pivot, make a new product, sell it to this list, and we were fine. And I think that when you understand that, like when you have your own audience, that's your safety and that's your protection. Like you can reinvent yourself. If you need to, you can have new products, new services. If something you're selling becomes obsolete or whatever, you can be protected. I've even seen this at a local level with like some restaurants and gym owners and things like that, where they had to shut up their shop, but people who are smart enough who've been gathering a customer list are literally saying, okay, well, they're sending out emails and text messages to their audience like, hey, I know you can't come in to eat tonight, but the kitchen's still open. We can have your order ready next 30 minutes. Let us know what it is. We'll have it done and prepared for you.
Wow,
They're back there cooking stuff and bringing it out to the customers who are picking up curbside, and their businesses aren't missing a beat. Whereas everyone else is like, we have no ability to communicate with people because like we lost our business. And so I think when you understand that, when you own traffic, like that's your safety, that's your life preserver that'll protect you during the downtimes and help you to grow rapidly during the uptimes.
I love that. And then talk to me a little bit about what you've learned, obviously, over the years through ClickFunnels. You've ridden a roller coaster of success and ups and downs, and business is nonstop. But talk to me a little bit about what you've noticed is important to do when you build a list to keep it in a raving fan mode. I know even Tony talked about it in the video. It's like anytime someone says Russell Brunson, they go, "Oh, ClickFunnels." You built a community and hype and an excitement around it, where people love you. They love ClickFunnels, not just a software platform. It's a community. It's something meaningful. Can you talk a little bit about the psychology of building a raving fan base within Traffic Secrets? What are things I'm sure you've experimented with everything, literally everything in the book. But in your experience, can you talk to people who are just maybe starting or maybe growing their traffic and growing their audience, growing their list, about how to build an energy and enthusiasm and excitement and a culture of that within their audience?
Yeah,
what you've learned doing that, because you've done it remarkably well.
Oh, thank you. I think that most people can sell a product once, right? Like you can get the right ad or like sales letter or whatever, but like a true marketing master, someone who can like get somebody to want to buy from them over and over and get people excited. Like I'm like you've seen with Apple, right? The new iPod comes out, people are lining up. Like how do you create that kind of excitement? And so when we started Clickfunnels, it was probably about a year before we launched Clickfunnels. I remember one of my friends, David Fry, and I tell the story in the book. He invited me to come to this convention for network marketing company. I'd never been to one before, but I was like, okay, I'm game. I want to see what it is. So went to this thing. There's like 5,000 people at this event. And I'm used to going to seminars where people are up there teaching. So I'm like waiting to learn stuff, and I'm watching, and people are getting on stage and they're telling their stories and they're crying and like everyone's getting awards and all these things. And I was like, I'm sitting there with my pad of paper. I'm like, there's no like content being taught. Like, why are we at this event? I couldn't understand it for like 2.5 days. And by the end of the third day, David Fry leaned over to me. He's like, do you see what's happening? I was like, I have no idea. I'm so confused right now. And he's like, they didn't create a software because they were a software company too. He's like, they didn't create a software company. He's like, they built a movement. He's like, these people are here because this is part of their identity now. And I remember hearing that and going back home and just like, oh my gosh, like I missed it. Like I didn't completely understand it. But then as we started building ClickFunnels, I remember thinking that I was like, how do I build, like, I want to create something that's not just, I don't want it to be Russell's company. Cause if it's Russell's company, then, people will buy it and they may come and go, but it's not going to be bought in. I'm like, how do I make this like a movement where it's bigger than just me? And so we started trying to figure out those things. And it was a lot of trial and error along the way. And some things worked, some things didn't. A big part of it is like, we tried to give our community a name. And in fact, here's my shirt, Funnel Hacker. Like we call ourselves Funnel Hackers, and people call themselves Funnel Hackers, and we give out t-shirts and swag, and we have people tattoo it all over themselves because they feel like they're part of this thing. Like I'm a funnel hacker. I'm part of this tribe. And then the next thing is, I talk about this a little bit in the Expert Secrets book. I think it was Napoleon Bonaparte that said, yes, Napoleon Bonaparte said that men, what do you say? Something about what men will do for a scrap of ribbon, right? It talks about the army, and they give people awards and these things that they're like, people will risk their entire life for the scrap of ribbon. And I was thinking about inside of our business, like what do we have that people can be working towards? Like everyone's trying to grow their company. That's like a never ending, like it just goes for forever. I was like, what can we create to get somebody something to like shoot towards? I remember when I was in growing up in high school as an athlete, like the thing that drove me, the reason why I killed myself, I worked out, I ate healthy, I lifted, I wrestled, I ran, was because I wanted to be a state champ. Like that was the goal. As soon as I got that, then I was like, okay, I got the goal. What's the next goal? And it was like, be an All-American. So I was like, hey, and I started running to there. And as soon as I got that, then I was like, hey, now there's college. And so like, there's always something I was running towards, I wasn't running towards getting better because like there's no end to getting better. It just goes forever. But there were these things, these ribbons along the way that I was like, I would kill myself to get them. Right? I want to be a state champ. I wanted these things. And so inside of our community, I was like, hey, everyone's trying to grow a company, but how do we give people these things they can shoot towards and strive towards? So the first one we created was the ClickFunnels 2 Comma Club Award, right? And it got people in and like, oh my gosh, like there's like now they had something to run towards, and they could like look at other people and model what they were doing. And there was like as a community, everyone started like running towards this thing. And that became the first one. When people hit it, everyone's like, well, now what? I got one. I need something else. So we're like, 2 Comma Club X Award. Let's make 10 million. You get this one. And then people started running and then we got, I think we've had like 30 or 40 people have hit that one. So we made another one. We have like 18 people hit the next one. It's like we keep giving people these things to run inside of it. And what's powerful about it is it ties people to your movement, right? Like people can go and they can sell stuff on other platforms, but they lose the chance to win these awards. Where if they're building on ClickFunnels, they win these awards and everything compounds, and they can share their stories and successes with their teams. And so it keeps people tied to us. And so it's a lot of those things like getting people to identify with your cause, giving people things to work towards, like, and then I think you as a leader, like coming out and being the example, like I'm doing this stuff too, like just model what I'm doing. Like I'm in the trenches with you. I'm not just sitting back, like, which a lot of people, I mean, most CEOs of most companies sit back and they just kind of hang out, where it's like I want to be part, like you can tell I love funnels because like I'm building my own funnels. I'm launching, like I'm doing the stuff I'm talking about. Like I'm trying to be an example so that people aren't like, they have something to look towards, like, oh wow, like I see what Russell's doing. I'm going to do the same thing for what my business is. And so anyway, those are some of the things that we've tried to do. And there's a lot more in the books, but just things like that to make people feel like it's their company, not just my company. Because it's my company that can come and go, but if it's theirs, then it's part of their identity.
Yeah, and it's bigger than just you. It's bigger than just Russell. No, I love that. What was the hardest secret or chapter to write about in the book for you? Sure. I don't
So,
know if anybody's asked you that yet, but I'm sure that you're like, should I reveal this? Or what was the most like, I guess, meaningful, or what was the most challenging chapter to write about or topic to write about in the book?
um, the probably two, like the hardest parts were like there's the hard parts and the stuff that's like, oh, do I really share this stuff? Like the hard parts, it was hard to write. Like, how do you write stuff about Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube, the big four, in a way that isn't going to change, right? Like that was the hard thing. Like
Timeless.
those
Yeah.
things change. Like I need to make sure that took the most work, I think, to write those chapters. The ones that were like when you get to the back of the book, the section 3 is it's called growth hacking. These
Yeah.
are my favorite things to talk about that no one ever talk. We never talk about these things, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just sitting in a room like, hey, let me show you my best growth hacks. Let me show you how we use integration marketing. Let me show you how we grow our like all those kind of things. And so those things we don't normally talk about, but it's so much fun to be able to finally like share those things.
Yeah.
Because I think there's so many foundational things people have to like the whole section 1 and 2 are like the foundations people have. But after you have a foundation, it's like here's the advanced stuff that we get to play with now that there's no platform to teach that stuff typically. And I've like, okay, the last section of the book, I'm just gonna share my best, craziest things that people don't talk about. I've never had a platform or a place to talk about them before because most people are like, I still don't know how to drive, how to buy an ad or how to do anything. It's like, I can't teach you those things until you have the foundation. So anyway, I don't know if that
Yeah.
answers.
No. I love it. All right. I got 3 more quick questions for you before we wrap up. I know you're tight on time. So one question I have is, knowing what you know now about entrepreneurship, obviously what you've built, what piece of advice would you give to the young Russell who was just starting out? Maybe if you were starting in 2020, just getting things off the ground, obviously being on this side of the fence, building a 9-figure company, having this massive success, impacting thousands of people around the world. What would you tell the young Russell who's maybe scared early on or nervous being on this side of the fence? What would the Russell now's best piece of advice be to that Russell who was younger, looking for answers for success?
That's a great question. I think I just look back at my journey. Like when I got started, I didn't know all the pieces yet, right? So I was kind of, I think most people, like, you're kind of doing one piece at a time, trying to figure it out. And so for me, the piece I started with was I started by creating a product. And I was like, I got that. I got a product now. And then I was like, okay, now I need to figure out how to sell it. So I had to figure out the next piece. And then I was like, now I got to find who to sell it to. And I'm like, where do I find people? And I think like the best advice I would give someone is to actually start the other way around, where it's just like starting with this, like, okay, I know I want to make money. I don't, and coming in with like, I don't want to be creative. I don't want to try to figure out like, what am I going to create? That's going to be the creative thing. Like get rid of creativity is not a thing that's going to serve you at this point. The first point is figuring out like where is the traffic at that's going to buy something for me someday? People that I'm excited by, people I'm passionate about. Let me find those people first. So I'd go and find them, right? And then I would go and I would listen really, like I would go and find these communities of people and I start listening really carefully. Because again, I don't want to be creative and try to think of the next big idea. I want to listen, like, what are they struggling with? Where can I help? Like, what are the things that continually keep coming to people complaining about this and about this and about this? Like, what, and listening for your big idea. Because your big idea is typically not going to be like this big aha that you have. It's going to be listening to the people who are your dream customers. And then from there, they create the product. And then what's nice is then when the product's created, you know exactly where to go, right? Like I created multiple products when I got started. Like I spent time and energy and money on this product and I never found the people to give it to. And so they just kind of died and I wasted so much time. Whereas if I would have started backwards and figured out, okay, who do I want to serve? Where are they at? And then start listening, like, what do they want? What are they like? Where's the pain points? And then now I know exactly what to create. I go and I create it. And then the people here, it's like, you told me you want this, here it is. Like, let me give it to you. It's like, I look at the first 10 years of my business, which was like shooting shotguns and they are just hoping and praying I'd hit something, to we really identify, who's our dream customer. Then it's like, I look at everything we created since then, right? Like Clickfunnels came from like, obviously I had pain, but I also knew like the market that we were trying to serve, like we all wanted this, right? So it wasn't like we were geniuses, like, oh, you figured out Clickfunnels. Like everyone knew that was what everybody wanted. I was lucky enough to have a partner who could actually execute on it. And then people were struggling. I was listening and it's like, they didn't understand funnels. So that's like the whole first book, .com Secrets, came from that. And then they had funnels that didn't convert. And I was like, that's where this book came from. And then they had funnels that were doing good, but not growing. And that's like, well, that's where this idea for this book came from. So it wasn't me ever being creative. It was me just listening to the market and understanding it. So again, it comes back to like we talked about at the beginning, is like figuring out who is your dream customer and then finding out where they're congregating and then hanging out there and just listening. And they will tell you everything that you need to create. And I think that's how I would flip it around. Because I always thought at first, like, I'm so creative, I got the best idea for these products. Mm-hmm. And that probably lost me 5 or 6 years as if I would have flipped it around and been a better listener.
I love that. And then my second question real quick, and I know we're tight on time, is when you're in a tight situation in business, obviously the scale you're at, you have to make decisions a lot of the time without all the facts, or, you might piss these people off, but then, you got to do this, right? You have a lot of like pressure from a lot of different parts, I guess. And it's more of a personal question, but I think it would help a lot of entrepreneurs out there dealing with it. What's Russell Brunson's mindset when it comes to decision making or making tough decisions? Is it about building a good team? I know faith plays a big role in your life. Do you talk to your wife? I mean, on a personal level, because entrepreneurs, you know how it is, man. We're pulling our hair out left and right over different stuff. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs about making decisions during tough times?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. So like look with our team, we've got an amazing team of people. But specifically even like Todd Dickerson, who's my co-founder, he's the guy who built Clickfunnels. We're co-founders together. And if you look at like Todd and I's personality profile, like they're almost identical, except for I make decisions based on feelings and he makes decisions based on thinking, which is a really good sounding board. Because I'll come, I'm like, I feel like I need to do this. And he'll come back like, did you think about this? I'm like, oh, crap, no, I don't know. Or he'll come like, I'm thinking about this. I'm like, it doesn't feel good. And so he's kind of like my checks and balances on stuff where I'm like, I'm feeling this way. And he'll be like, oh, that makes sense. Go for it. Or, like it does make sense because of this and vice versa, which has been really, really good. So that's a big piece of it. Number two is like, I'm a big believer that the feelings we get for the most part, like their intuition, and as long as we're moving forward, like doing our best, like if we follow the feelings, I don't know, it's for the most part not led me straight. It's when I don't do that, when I'm trying to like
listen to many people around you or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever read the book Blink. That was a fascinating book about the blink decisions. Like, and if you look at like what someone's blink decision is in a moment, like I can't remember the stats. It's been years since I read that book, but it was like the blink instinct most people have is right like 90-something% of the time. Whereas they get the inspiration, then they rethink it, and then they choose something else, and it's wrong. And that book's really fascinating because it goes into like the science behind it. But I think for a lot of it, it's just like your gut kind of is leading you the right direction, as long as you're doing it from a place where you're trying to do what's best for you and for your team and for your tribe and your community. Like if you have good intentions, I feel like the right direction just keeps appearing in front of you. And when you do make mistakes, it's like not being afraid to like, I made a mistake, I'm an idiot, which I've had to do multiple times to our community as a whole.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you've had that happen where you felt a certain way about it, but then maybe a lot of people were telling you different stuff, but kind of leaning on your intuition kind of favored you a little bit. That's helpful. Sure. Yeah, I love that. Okay, and then my final question here. For people who are interested in grabbing traffic secrets, maybe even grabbing expert secrets, maybe grabbing .com secrets. I know you got the whole box set right there. You guys got the audiobook as well that they can order in the link below. For people interested in that, maybe even joining the One Funnel Away Challenge, signing up for ClickFunnels, checking out if they haven't. This is my final question. Say you're an online entrepreneur or maybe an existing entrepreneur looking to go online. You're looking to try out ClickFunnels. You're like, okay, I realize I need software. I realize I need the knowledge. I realize I need the expertise. I realize I need to know how this all works. What would Russell Brunson's best piece of advice be? And I know you wrote the book, 30 Days, which I have and I love, but what would Russell Brunson's best piece of advice be to somebody who's like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab my free book in the description below. I'm going to sign up for ClickFunnels. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try out the 2-week trial. I'm going to take action for 30 days. What would your, 1 or 2-minute quick piece of advice be in terms of the mindset that it takes to have success fast and not waste a lot of time? Especially in online entrepreneurship, you could jump around a bunch of different ways. You covered a lot of good stuff, but it's a loaded question, but simply, what would Russell Brunson's best piece of advice be to an entrepreneur who's like, you know what, I'm going to take 30 days. I'm going to do the One Funnel Away Challenge, or I'm going to sign up for ClickFunnels. I'm going to grab traffic secrets. I'm going to take action, knowing what you know now.
I think the biggest thing is when people try their first funnel, a lot of times they're coming from a point of fear, right? Like I just lost my job, or I'm trying, whatever. Or it's like, this is my baby. Like it has to be successful. And because of that, they're so scared that like, if it fails, it means that they're a failure.
Yeah.
My first project was a potato gun DVD, and it was dumb. And I was like, I remember thinking, I'm like, this is just my test. Like I want to just test these principles in a way that I'm not tied to the outcome. If it fails, nobody's going to like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like it disassociated like failure from me, which I think most people, that's why they don't want to become failures. So they don't want to fail. So they get in this state of like consistent learning where they just struggle because of it. I would just pick something fun and go through the stuff as an exercise. Like, hey, I'm going to sell pens, or I'm going to make an ebook of me flexing, and it's going to be flexing secrets. I don't know. And I'm just going to go through this process, and it's probably going to fail, but I just need to learn the process. Cause there's a lot of steps you got to figure out, right? Like, how do you get the domain name? How do you set up the funnel? And then like, what's step 1? Like there's all these little things you got to learn. And the first time it's going to seem overwhelming. And if you do it with like, I have to be successful or I'm screwed mentality, like that pressure, that weight makes it really hard to actually have success. I think it's like, okay, I'm going to do a test project. I'm going to go through this process, because I tell you what, doing my potato gun DVD, when I sold that 16 years ago now, the best thing it did is it forced me to do every single step in the process. And I was like, I know now how to do like I know all the pieces, like it totally makes sense now. And then I was looking back, I'm like, this is a stupid idea. Potato guns, like this market, there's like 8 people besides me who want a potato gun. Like this is the worst market ever. But now I like had done all the steps, and I was like, well, what is actually a good market? I'm like, oh, speed reading, oh, dating, oh, weight loss, oh, diabetic neuropathy. Like I had all these ideas, and then I could take the thing, and I now knew how to do it. Like, oh, I know exactly what to do. I know all the steps, and I was able to do it really easily. So I think it would be just like taking the pressure off yourself. This has to be successful, and just like do it as a fun project. Do it with your kids. Like pick something stupid. Doesn't even matter, but just do all the steps once, and then by the time you're done, you're like, because after you've done it once, you're like, oh, it's not that hard. It's just hard the first time because it's unknown. After you do it, you're like, oh, that's actually pretty easy. Now let me pick something that I know is going to be successful, and you try again. And I think that would be probably my biggest advice when you're going through it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Russell. And for everybody listening, make sure to go grab Traffic Secrets in the description below. You guys will be glad you did. It'll teach you how to fill your websites and your funnels with your dream customers. Any final words about Traffic Secrets and why they should check it out and grab their free book, Russell?
Oh man, well right now we're during the launch, and so you can go to Amazon and pay full price for it. But right now, I paid for like a ton of copies of the book, so you just cover shipping and handling, get the book. Also, for any of you guys who are trying to learn business and entrepreneurship, go through the funnel and watch the process. I always tell people when you buy from me, buy slow, because as I spent 18 months writing the book, I spent about that long designing this funnel. It's the highest converting funnel I've had to date. Wow. So if you want to see like 15 years of experience into like what is a funnel that's going to work, I would just look at the process. Pay attention, watch the video, see what I said, how I said it. Look at pay attention to the process, because the process is an education in and of itself. So anyway.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Russell. And you guys can make sure to follow Russell. I'll link all his stuff below: his Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Clickfunnels, Traffic Secrets book. And of course, we recommend the Traffic Secrets trilogy set. I got them and love them. They've helped me in my business so much. Thank you, Russell, for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Have a great day. Take care. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
If you guys enjoyed that video, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on post notifications, because every week we bring you the very best in personal development content and insight to help take your life, your mindset, and your business to the next level. And also, if you want to grab your exclusive free copy of Traffic Secrets, you can click the link below right now so that you can get it sent to you ASAP. And that brand new book by Clickfunnels called Traffic Secrets will help you fill your website and your funnels and your business with your dream customers online in no time. And also, don't forget that The Passionate Few is available on all podcast platforms worldwide. So if you want to listen on the go, you can make sure to subscribe there and tune in every week for the best interviews out. Until next time, live strong, live with passion. We'll see you guys on the next episode.